This is the Shine On You Crazy Daisy podcast, and I'm your host, Trudy Simmons from the Daisy Chain Group, providing platforms for women entrepreneurs to be seen and heard. This platform is for women entrepreneurs that want to hear the real stories of what it takes to be yourself and run a business with all the different hats that you might have to wear. These are the stories of the tenacious, the rebellious, and the resilient women that are working towards the future that they want to build for themselves and their families. Hello and welcome to the Shine On You Crazy Daisy podcast. And today I am thrilled and excited to introduce you to Suzy Dierckx from Sociable Suzy. Suzy, thank you so much for being a part of Shine On You Crazy Daisy book and podcast. Tell us about your business.
Good morning. Thank you, Trudy. My name's Suzy Dierckx. I am Sociable Suzy, as I'm better known, and I am a social media marketing consultant.
Ooh, I know, brilliant. What's brilliant is that I've known you for a number of years, and I didn't know that what your background was.
Uh-huh.
So deciding very early on what you wanted to do and following your dream to Dubai, it all sounds amazing. But what did you learn and why did you end up going to Dubai?
I think everybody has a backstory, and putting the chapter together, realised that actually my journey has taken lots of twists and turns through the years. So I graduated as a paediatric nurse. I went to London. I fled the small Dorset borders at 18. Loved it, big lights of the city. And I think on reflection, learned very early on that I wasn't one to conform to other people's requirements of me. Mm-hmm. I had to be at a hospital at a certain time and work a certain set of hours. And it impacted my life in ways that actually I didn't feel comfortable with very early on. Despite having a wonderful job and a career and a very fulfilling role, shift work quite quickly didn't sit with my life. So I changed roles. So I moved from doing very long days or very long nights to 9 to 5. But because of London life and where we lived, I was still doing 10-hour days. So it was really restrictive. So early in that journey, I thought, I can't do this. I'm not going to have a life. I'm not going to see my then partner, who is now husband. And I felt contained. And I wanted autonomy. And whilst I had autonomy in my practice day to day, someone was still telling me that I needed to be there till 8 o'clock at night. And that I found that quite hard, quite early on. And somebody was orchestrating your life. You know, I couldn't go to weddings because I was on shift. I couldn't plan Christmas because I didn't know if I'd be on shift or not. And those sorts of things very early on, we kind of identified as a bit of a red flag. Can we do this forever? Not sure we can. And it inspired me to look into areas of things that I really enjoyed. And the trip to Dubai was just a massive eye-opener. You know, there is a big world out there. And going from Dorset to London was pretty big and pretty shiny, but then actually getting on a plane, going to do some research, and being wined and dined by a large global company really kind of made me think, oh, you know, the world is a lot bigger and I've got a lot of skills that I can use in other avenues. And a light bulb went on at that moment to say, right, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? Do I step away from the day-to-day nursing, which again, I loved? Do I teach nursing? Or do I actually take a chance? And the business card I was given by the CEO of the company when I went out to Dubai, I mean, I just laughed it off. I was, 22. I was there with a girlfriend. We were having the time of our lives. We'd never been in a 5-star Marriott hotel. We were just totally starstruck by the situation. But to receive a business card with the line of, when you are ready to get a job outside of the NHS, just email me. And I took that away and I kept it. And that was probably the best thing I ever did, was to keep that and wait until my time was right.
Well, it's opportunities that are presented, isn't it? And grabbing onto those and realizing what's the right opportunity. How long did you end up being in Dubai?
Well, the company was a global company. So my research trip was in Dubai, but the actual global organization was based out of the US. Mm-hmm. So I didn't actually live in Dubai, but I worked from Basingstoke was the sort of European, Middle East and African office, and I worked from there. But I kind of worked my way up from the UK office, getting to that level before, again, doing a massive pivot and changing direction a few years later. So
what made you ready for the change in 2017?
Okay, so I went from nursing shift work to large global organization, and still somebody was pulling the strings. I had to be at Heathrow at 4 a.m. to get to a meeting in Munich for 7. I might not be back if I missed the flight home, and I started having a family, and very early on I had a wing woman who was a nanny. She was phenomenal, and if I could still live with her today I would, but again, she's flown the nest to do other things. If I wasn't at home, she was in charge and I was at work. Now, for one child, I felt comfortable with that, kind of, but there was still this nagging thing at the back of my mind. Oh, my son, he's poorly and I'm in Copenhagen. It didn't sit right with me. I always thought I would be the mum that would stay at home. However, I needed more for me. So I went back to work, and then I had 2 children. And then I had another child, I got a little bit greedy. But my nest was full, and by the time Ella arrived, I was totally, I suppose, contradicted in terms of where do I need to be and who needs to be in charge of this. And I worked for an absolute arse. Can I say that? That's probably a nice way to call it. Who didn't understand the concept of family or anything other than work as important. His life was work. He lived to work. I wanted to work to live. And that switched when I was on maternity leave, and I said, I can't go back to a big job that requires me to be anywhere in the world at the drop of a hat. I would like to stay at home, nurture my family, work for me, but also be present, and come back to Winchester, which was a place and a city that I love. And I love today, and I always left it to work, and now I stay here, I live here, I work here, and I love it.
That's amazing. And that switch in 2017, I think I was around for that right at the beginning. So, but with that switch, what does flexibility mean to you? How does it suit your business and your family?
Okay, so the avenue that I took, so I had a big bag of marketing skills. I was a marketing director, I was into product management, and we did a bit of everything. I was jack of all trades. However, I had this concept in my head that I just didn't want to do straight marketing for people. And I laughed because we've, met people through Hampshire Women's Networking Group, and the marketing consultants that do pure marketing are crazy bonkers fun, and not how I envisaged that role to be. So I had a misconception of what I could be as a marketing consultant. So I went down the digital mums route, which they sold me the dream. And I thought, this is too good to be true. So, as I was on maternity leave, I was always looking for more flexible working roles. Can I work part-time? Could I do this for a smaller organization? Could I do this locally? How can I make it work for me? But again, when you say to people part-time, or you say to people, I'd like flexible hours, pre-pandemic, there's a change which is coming and people are embracing now. But you can work a condensed week in 4 days, which is still outside of any standard childcare arrangement. So it just didn't work, just doesn't fit. And I think the hard thing for me was, I need to make this work for me. I need it to be flexible. And the digital mums package allowed me to upskill in social media, which is the way the world was kind of, I suppose, exploding into, and everybody was online. People go online, they're not sure what they're doing. They learn through mistakes, which is a brilliant way to do it. However, I wanted to arm businesses with the right skills and knowledge to really find their voice online. And it was a really nice, I suppose, nugget to add into my toolkit. So social media, because of the nature of the beast, yes, you have to be in the room at certain times when it's time. Time is important. However, if I needed to help a business plan content for a Christmas campaign, if I did it in January or if I did it in September, you wouldn't necessarily know. So there was enough flexibility around that model of, actually, this could really work for me. and also I get to choose my clients. So they get, I'm a busy mum of 3. They get that sometimes we go for walks and we have meetings outside. They get that, you know, we might take the puppy for a walk, or we might have a formal boardroom style meeting. There's enough flexibility, and it just releases that, I think, oppression of how work should be. You should be suited and booted. You should be there at 9 o'clock. You should finish at 5. But if you don't leave before, 6, there won't be any eyebrows raising over those glass partitions in those offices. I just wanted to break the shackles. I felt shackled by the corporate world. And whilst I learned a lot, I kind of took it and I ran. We met as I was running a local campaign about Winchester independent businesses. And that gave me the network to then flourish, I suppose, as an entrepreneur, whatever you want to call me.
Yourself. I think one of the things in the chapter was I'd rather have a Coke and a piece of cake with you and have a chat than have to go into a boardroom and get suited and booted. And this is the way of the world now, and we can choose who we want to be and how we want to represent ourselves as our brand. Hello.
Yes, I know. Today we're yellow, which is nice.
And be able to run successful businesses. And I think that's what you've done and what you've shown and proved to yourself, I think, as much as anything else, is that flexibility is one of your values that you have searched for and found and made sure that the boundaries are in place for your business to be flexible for a successful family.
Yes. And I think, I have a husband that commutes in a normal world. He's not commuted for a while. So again, he's been around more, which has allowed me more time to manage that flexible, balance. And I know some people say it's not a balance because some days it's out of kilter, but it's a choice.
Yeah.
And I suppose I am empowered by the ability to make that choice.
What is one lesson you've learned that you would want every entrepreneur to know?
I think every entrepreneur should trust their gut.
Yes.
Because you get a sense of people. And I think I wrote about it in the chapter about you meet people and they demand your time and they must have a meeting with you and you feel a bit icky. I did anyway. And I think earlier on, if I'd have trusted my judgment a bit quicker, I would have saved myself some time. I think you always get to where you want to go in the end, but trust your gut. Yeah. You know yourself better than anybody. And just believe in yourself, because you are your biggest cheerleader, and it's hard to say, I am good at this, I know what I'm talking about, but you must believe in yourself and just really just go for it and feel comfortable.
That's exactly what I've just written about in the chapter for book 2.
Very good.
Is the fact that you've got to be able to back yourself and you've got to be able to be your cheerleader and say what you're good at, and we're not good at that. So I know I'm brilliant. There you go.
Sometimes, aren't we? Yes, no, actually saying it out loud. Yes, I can do this. And I had lots of people throughout my career that said you would be brilliant, you would fly, and I didn't feel ready until I could take a time. For me, it was a timing thing. Actually, a merger and acquisition meant that my position was no longer tenable, and I knew at that point I could jump and I could fly, and I was ready. That's it. Like Angry Birds.
What is your favorite piece of business software?
So, as a social media consultant, I would say it's probably one of the social media schedulers. I'm a big advocate for Buffer, which keeps my life totally in check, managing and helping clients plan their social media. Or Content Cal is another good one. But I can't live without those. They help me run day-to-day life.
Yeah. And they'd help anybody that needs to schedule their social media. So
100%. And it's about finding a piece of software that fits with how your brain works, whether you're visual or whether you're, data, or, that they, for me, really work and really help with what I do.
Suzy, it has been an absolute pleasure. And to find out these stories about lots of people, but you especially, having known you for so long, it was fascinating. So thank you so much for being a part of Shine You Crazy Daisy.
Well, what is lovely, Trudy, is that I met the Queen in '93, and you are the Queen of the Crazy Daisy. So it's delightful to be in your royal company. And I thank you for all your cheerleading and your motivation along the way, because without you, a lot of us between this little box and in the book wouldn't be there. So appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Have a lovely day.
Yes, you too. Enjoy.
Thank you so much for watching the Shine On You Crazy Daisy podcast. If you've liked what you've seen today, then please make sure that you click the subscribe button to this channel to see more inspiration and motivation as more of these stories keep coming out. And if you want even more, click on the link below this video and go and have a look at the series of books Shine On You Crazy Daisy and get even more inspiration and motivation for you and your business.